This is Aussie Mac Zone. We'll cover everything Apple, including Macs, iPhones, iPads, and more. All this from an Aussie perspective. Sit back, relax, and insert yourself into the zone. The Aussie Mac Zone.
Hi everybody, welcome to show 237 Aussie Mac Zone. This week's sponsors, athwebhosting.com.au and aussietechradio.com. Now, I'll get to you in a minute, Garth, because Zarn gets really crappy when I forget to say hello to him.
He's closer too, so he can do something about it.
Hi Zarn, how are you tonight?
I'm fantastic, Michael. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. A bit weary after a big day driving, but yes.
Yeah.
And Garth, welcome back. How are you?
How you going, boys?
Fantastic,
Yes.
Garth. Good to see you, mate.
Thank you very much. I saw these bloody interlopers coming in here, so I thought I'd better get my heels back in here.
That's right, yes.
It was good to see good to hear a new voice. That was good.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, it's good, and hopefully we'll have some more.
Excellent.
Just to keep you on your toes. That's what it's all about.
I'm keep looking away from the camera and we're all talking to each other. Just so the listeners know, I'm actually up here with my hand over here, chatting and talking to people live on Facebook via my phone as well.
Wow, aren't you just so clever?
We're trying to get out there.
That's right.
So story number one of our Aussie Apple ramblings this week. Apple's butterfly MacBook keyboard problems bring a class action lawsuit. So a lawsuit filed in federal court, US federal court, claims that the keyboard used in all MacBook Pro and MacBooks made for several years is defective. The plaintiffs request that this be made into a class action lawsuit and that Apple be required to replace all affected keyboards at no cost to users. The lawsuit also requests punitive damage because, as they claim, Apple continued to build and sell laptops with the butterfly keyboard even though the company knew it was defective. The keyboard design that's at the canter of this controversy debuted in 2015 MacBook and was later used in the 2016 MacBook Pro, and it's been a part of all subsequent models. The name butterfly comes from the primary internal component. On older keyboards, this looks like a pair of scissors, but Apple redesigned the mechanism to look like a butterfly. Whoa. Supposedly more evenly distributes the pressure from tapping on the keys. However, the keys get easily stuck if any particle gets into the mechanism. Pardon me. And the repair is costly. And at least that assertion of a recall petition signed by 18,000 people in just over a week. And now, a lot of people keep talking about these keyboards. Some people like them, some people don't. But the most important thing is nobody eats food over them. They've got some sort of method of supposedly stopping bits of grit and dirt getting in there. Anymore, especially on these new MacBooks and MacBook Pros.
I know. Even the knowledge article on how to clean them is confusing, isn't it?
Yes.
Hold it at 45.37 degrees and blow air from the left just while you've got your foot in the air.
And that's about what it's like, yes.
Well, I don't know why they can't make a keyboard that doesn't, sort of, the crumbs or whatever don't go into the actual computer. Like,
because they want it nice and thin, of course, which is fine.
Rockets.
I mean, you can get what were those? What was the brand that got overtaken by a Chinese company, but it was an IBM original?
Lenovo.
The ThinkPads, they had fantastic keyboards for
really
this kind of
did.
thing.
Yeah.
You could tip a glass of water on them and they didn't care. But they weren't nice and thin, and that's what we all want apparently.
Yes.
And look, I don't know, I still love my MacBook Air. It's not as thin as some, but it is pretty nice and thin.
And the keyboard's very reliable.
Yeah.
If you're not eating a sandwich over it.
Well, you know what? If I'll be honest, and I eat a sandwich over it most days.
Yeah.
Because I'll go and have lunch and I'll have my laptop there and I'll eat away and I'll be careful, but it has many, many things eaten over it and it still works just fine. Thank you very much.
Well, I know, like I recommend to people, and I did it just this week, actually. Someone ran me on the weekend that were talking about buying a new MacBook Pro. And I said, whatever you either agree never to eat over it and never to have a drink anywhere near it, or contact, say, someone like tryandbite.com.au, friends that I know, because they have like little rubber sleeves that you can put over them, over the top of the keyboard, that stops stuff falling in it. And it does, you can feel it. It's just a really thin piece of rubber, but yeah.
Yep.
That stops dirt going in there. So worst case scenario, put one of these rubber condoms on.
Probably a very good idea. It often is, really.
Because after, and I personally, I expect 9 years out of an Apple computer, realistically 9 years. And if you need to replace the keyboard because it's got some crap in it, these ones are going to cost you the best part of $600 or $700.
Yes.
Wow.
You might as well just get a new laptop at that point, hey?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. That's my $2 worth on that particular challenge.
Yeah.
Now, Apple cracking down on applications that send location data to third parties. Over the last few days, Apple has seemingly started cracking down on applications that share location data with third parties. In such cases, Apple has been removing the application in question and informing developers that their app violates two parts of the App Store review guidelines. Thus far, we've seen several cases of Apple cracking down on these types of apps. The company informs developers via email that upon re-evaluation, their application is in violations of sections 5.1.1 and 5.1.2 of the App Store review guidelines, which is pertinent to transmitting user location data and user awareness of data collection. Apple explains that developers must remove any code frameworks or SDKs that relate to the violation before their app is resubmitted. Now, Apple's crackdown on these applications comes amid growing industry shift due to general data protection regulation, which is in the European Union. And it's seemingly looking to ensure that developers take the same care of user data. In the instances, we've seen the apps in question do not do enough to inform users about what happens with their data. And in addition to simply asking permission, Apple appears to want developers to explain what the data is used for and how it is shared. Furthermore, the company is cracking down on instances where the data is used for purposes unrelated to improving the user experience. Now, I've got $2 worth to say about this one too, because I actually have written an app for somebody that records the user data, the location of the user specifically, because it's actually for selling or for getting prices on secondhand farm equipment. And so we know exactly where the equipment is. It records where the photos were taken and sends that in the file back to the person that's been asked to give the quote. That's the reason that we actually have the location data. It's also just to prove that the sales rep isn't sitting on eBay and just in his office on eBay and taking, using the photos off eBay to, or off the internet somewhere, trying to get some price comparisons going. So,
yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there are plenty of other apps that are sending out information that people are not aware of. Off the internet somewhere. So, yeah. So, any comments? Any comment? You don't really want your user. You don't really want your location sent out. Especially some people don't want it in some instances, but
no, but as long as the app has asked permission, which they have to on iOS, I don't really see the problem.
Yeah, as long as it's asked permission. Yeah,
well,
and it keeps coming up with that.
It has to, doesn't it? It can't not.
Yeah. Oh no, I suppose what they're saying is you can get information without telling the user. You can actually get the information without telling where they are, without telling the user.
At the time, but initially you have to give permission to that app to access your location services.
Well, they can run in the background, can't they?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the first time you launch that app, when you use that app, it will for it to be able to give out location services, it needs to ask for it.
Yeah, but first time,
Yeah, but they're also saying it's going to third parties. So, I make the app and do it, but then it goes out to
just some random web.
Random.
Yeah.
They used one example on one of the podcasts today where it tracks. Oh, it's one of these ones that supposedly works out how many iPhones were sold and how many in each country and all that sort of stuff, because it tracks that information from other apps. So it's like if I made an app, it might be a free one, might be a game app or something, or a conversion app, and it says, oh, this person's using an iPhone 10 and he's in Sydney.
Yeah.
And gives that and sells that information to a third party.
Oh, well. I'm glad Apple cares about it, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yep. There's even a new one that I also heard about this week where apparently in 11.4, iOS 11.4, if your iPhone or iPad hasn't been open for a week, you have to actually put your serial number in.
Oh, really?
Or your passcode in. It won't just open from your face or anything like that. There's a few other things.
That's odd.
That's already been there, hasn't it?
Yeah, this was a time one where
7 days.
Yeah,
I thought that was pre-existing. So the times when you'll have to put in your passcode rather than just being able to use your fingerprint is on restart 24 hours without being 48, I think, without being opened at all.
Yeah.
Or 7 to 8 days if just 7 to 8 days of normal usage. At least once a week you'll need to put in your passcode.
Yeah.
So is this somehow different to that?
It is. In that the only part that's different is they're going to stop the lightning port from working.
Oh, okay.
Which means you can't get these devices that plug in and start trying to suck your data out and try. Because the lightning port's not working, they can't do that.
Cool. So, okay, cool. Yep.
And again, that just takes all of the responsibility off Apple.
Yes.
With all the FBI inquiries, etc. So yeah, that's just another one. So .au. Now I've got special requests. I want everyone interested in having a website for themselves or their kids. Because you might have one in your surname or your kid's name, so that's locked in for the because there might be someone going under the name of Michael Seamons who isn't particularly me, and but putting crap up there that's nothing to do with me. So I need people to know it's not me and things like that. So, or you might have one for your kids so that you've got that for perpetuity. So I want everyone that's interested in creating a website for themselves to go and have a look at a place with information I've got coming for us next week. But if you go and have a look at that, it's a new sort of drag and drop website creation that we're using, and I'd like people to go and have a look. So athwebhosting.com.au. Because they do have affordable and competitive plans and domain registration and free setup and instant activation and cPanel, which SitePad works with cPanel. And all this is from $5.95 per month when paid annually with a 24/7 ticket support system. And next week, we'll have some exciting news about a demo code for Aussie Mac Zone listeners. That's why I want people to go and have a quick look at site. Go in and see what they can do, and then, I've been kicking Glenn's butt, and so have a look. Now, here's a good one. Here's how to save money. iPads save $1.8 million a year and 55,000 person hours, says a Dallas construction firm. The technology head of company Rogers O'Brien says that using iPads saves the company $1.8 million a year, including 55,000 hours of reductions in work time. In particular, says Todd Wine, iPads solve a recurring problem that no one outside the construction industry would ever guess existed. With paper-based plans, he told Business Insider, there were always multiple versions floating around, and it was frustratingly easy for construction to begin based on an outdated version. When that happened, they have to tear down the work and start again. Pardon me. Building plans are now stored in the cloud, and everyone works off the same, always updated version. So if an architect or engineer makes a change, that change is instantly available via the iPad in the field. We call it the one truth. Everyone works off the one truth, he says. He estimates each project saves about 7% on cost just from that one thing. Now, there's also an incredible volume of paperwork involved in construction, says Wine. Holding these documents on an iPad not only eliminated printing costs, but also saved wasted times. It wasn't possible to carry all the paperwork around the site. So every time someone needed to check documentation, they had to walk back to the site office. And in some places, there are plenty of really big sites around. So the company was simply buying iPads at full retail price, but now they've, because they buy so many, and Apple's got business plans for when you're buying, 10 or 20 or 30. So yeah, that's another story if you're into it. I've got a client who is a very specialised trucking company, and they do all their maintenance on their trucks, etc., on their iPads, as well as having all the downloaded documentation for each trip that the truck does, because we're talking, wide loads and all that sort of stuff. And they have to have all that downloaded on their iPad. That's not in the cloud because they might be out, west of Bullamakanka where there is no internet connection. So they have to have all that downloaded before they leave. But saves hours and hours, and it makes it easy to check on the work. So, that's just another way, which is excellent.
Awesome.
Okay. Apple drops plans. Well, we're very quiet tonight. Apple drops plans.
I'm usually full of opinions, and I haven't got anything.
Apple drops plans to build Irish data centre after 3 years of delays. So fed up of waiting for the necessary permission to proceed, Apple has ditched its plans to build an €850 million data centre in County Galway in Ireland. Several years ago, we applied to build a data centre in Athenry, Apple said in a statement. Despite our best efforts, delays in the approval process have forced us to make other plans, and we will not be able to move forward with the data centre. It will continue with a second data centre in Denmark. The Irish data centre would have been the biggest in Europe, creating 300 temporary construction jobs and 50 permanent positions. It was intended to help Apple power music, the App Store, Messages, Maps, and Siri. Apple has said that the move will not affect their enthusiasm for future projects in Ireland. So, yeah, that's a bit frustrating. They went through a heap of stuff and, finally got all the locals interested, but then, some outsiders were brought up another court case.
Sounds like they weren't sure to be sure, to be honest.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh, dear. Well played, sir. I was trying to think of something about an Irish joke and it just wouldn't come. Maybe Apple heard a few too many Irish jokes and thought better of it.
This one for Zarn. Apple invests $10 million US dollars in greenhouse gas-free aluminium smelting. So Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Quebec Premier Philippe Couillard joined key execs from Apple and industrial manufacturers Alcoa and Rio Tinto to announce a new process for smelting aluminium that removes greenhouse gases from the equation. Alcoa and Rio Tinto are creating a joint venture based in Montreal to help mainstream the process, with plans to make it commercially available by 2024. Along with swapping carbon for oxygen as a byproduct of the production process, the technology is also expected to reduce costs by around 15%.
Huh, awesome.
It's easy to see why Apple jumped in at investing into tech here, pumping 13 million Canadian dollars into the venture. The company has been making a big push over the past couple of years to reduce its carbon footprint across the board. Now, Apple is committed to advancing technologies that are good for the planet and help protect it for generations to come, Tim Cook said. We are proud to be part of this ambitious new project and look forward to one day being able to use aluminium produced without direct greenhouse emissions in the manufacturing of our products.
Fantastic.
Now, Apple are only...
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Not only are Apple brilliant at this sort of stuff, they really impressed me over the last few months with the steps they're taking to be, sort of carbon neutral. But Canada has the government that everyone should have. They're really forward on this sort of stuff as well, and I think everyone could take a leaf out of Canada's book, to be honest.
Yeah, everyone loves that Prime Minister, don't they?
They do.
He seems to be the man.
He is the man.
Well, they loved his old man too, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. He is the man. He's he's a free thinker. A free thinker.
Yeah, good on him. You know what else? Not only good on him, but good on the Canadian people for
absolutely
putting him into power.
Putting him into power, backing his every move. They are really the country to watch and be in awe of. So unlike the Americans who are that friend that you don't really want to tell anybody that you hang out with.
I know, right?
Now, the government, so Apple put in 10 million, but the governments of Canada and Quebec have combined to invest a full 188 million Canadian dollars in the technology. Now, Alcoa has been smelting metal through the process at a smaller scale in a plant outside Pittsburgh since 2009. So they've obviously been just fine-tuning it to where they feel that they can put it in the big, get it really going well. So tonight we're also brought to you by Aussie Tech Radio at www.aussietechradio.com. And it has our award-winning Aussie Tech Heads podcast and our new Aussie Tech Crypto podcast. And there's also a new one called My Tech Opinion, which I personally haven't heard yet because I haven't had a chance to sit there and listen to it just this week yet. So I'm looking forward to catching up with that. And it's also got other podcasts from around Australia. Now, my next story, this one's going to be at least interest Zarn, I'm sure. Steam Link and Steam video apps coming soon to iPhone, iPad, and Apple TV. So according to a press release, Steam Link will allow gamers to stream their Steam library to devices while connected to their Mac via a 5 gigahertz network or wired in via Ethernet. Steam says the app will launch during the week of May 21st, though a specific date is unclear. The app will support the Steam controller, MFI controllers, and plenty more across the two platforms. While Steam Video will be rolling out later this summer, it will allow users to watch thousands of movies and TV shows through Steam directly on your iOS device via Wi-Fi or LTE. Users will be able to view content offline as well.
That's excellent.
Do you do Steam? You play Steam? You got someone play Steam?
Well, I had Steam for a little while on my Alienware probably shouldn't say that on here. But I do have.
I'll have him put down later, everybody. It's all right.
I do have other computers. No, I had an Alienware for a little while. It was fun, and to play. I had Steam, and I'd play, sort of games on there with other people. But I don't have I do still have an account, but it's not paid up at the moment, and I haven't been on there for a long time. I don't know.
I can remember early on I had Steam on Curtis's, my son's Macs.
Yep.
Yeah, that was early on. Yeah, so.
Yeah, Steam's great. It really is. It's sort of, you didn't need a console to play console games. It was a brilliant concept, and so I think,
especially now the internet's improved too.
Yeah, we can buy Steam consoles now too. Like you can buy straight up Steam consoles, which don't take, they're not disc or anything like that. It's all just online. It's all, so it will, like I was saying that PlayStation and Microsoft have the equivalent now as well. You can just download straight onto the console and play from there. You don't actually have to go out and buy a physical game. But Steam did it first. So yeah.
All right. Yeah. Now I've got a how-to. A listener has reached out to us about an Apple Watch issue they're having. So the issue with the Apple Watch Series 3 with eSIM, when I'm out for a walk and I leave my iPhone at home, my watch picks up the carrier's network and I can make and receive calls. However, when I try to send messages, if it's iMessage, it gets delivered, but standard text messages, the green coloured ones, fail to be delivered. Except when he comes back near his phone.
Yep.
So Apple's got a support article, which will be in the show notes, HT205547. Now this reads in part, if you have Apple's Watch Series 3, GPS and cellular, if your iPhone and Apple Watch Series 3, GPS and cellular, are both connected to a cellular network, your watch can do everything that it normally does, even if your iPhone isn't with you. When your watch connects to a cellular network, green dots in the icon appear in the control center. Now, if your watch is connected to a cellular network, but your iPhone isn't nearby, your watch can do the same things that it can when using Wi-Fi. Now, that bit confused me. So
I understand that. So, because I use my phone when I'm out on the property down at Cola River, which has got Wi-Fi down there, I can still send you a message. I can still send Kellyanne a message. I can still video call Kellyanne all through Apple's system, but I can't send a regular text message or anything like that because I'm not connected to a network. I'm only connected to a Wi-Fi system. And the Apple system is happy to run through that Wi-Fi system where if you don't have a cellular network connection, you can't send messages through that. Yeah, through there.
Yeah. So, but if your phone is actually at home and is turned on and is connected to Wi-Fi at home, you can send ordinary text messages using your watch.
Oh, okay.
Right, but it has to be connected if you can't, your phone can't be turned off at home, for example. Yeah, it's got to be on the network. So
if it's sitting idle or anything like that. So if it's sitting idle but it's still on network, it'll still work.
Yeah.
It just can't be switched off.
That's right.
Yep.
Or you can't go and say turn off the Wi-Fi, for example, because it's not actually
So does it have to have a cellular connection plus a Wi-Fi connection, or just
for your phone to work at home? Yeah, both. So you leave your phone at home, but it's got to have a cellular connection and a Wi-Fi connection. You can't have gone to bed the night before or whatever and turned off the Wi-Fi or, whatever, chose to disconnect it or whatever, and then go for your run in the morning and have it work. It won't work. Now, what about these? I've got a couple of things for us here. This week in Apple history. So May 13, 1991, Apple releases Mac OS 7, more commonly known as System 7. The longest lasting of Apple's classic Mac operating system, it remains current until System 8 replaced it in 1997. So that's 6 years for one operating system.
Yeah.
System 7 was the biggest shake-up Mac OS has seen since the operating system first shipped in 1994. System 7 was whip fast, beautiful to look at, and boasted a bevy of new features. One big new feature was true full-time multitasking, letting multiple applications run at the same time. This meant that for the first time you could carry out background processing. It allowed you to perform a processing-heavy task in one app while using another. And that may sound and is normal today, but it was a revolution in 1991. In addition, users now had access to aliases, an idea later copied by Microsoft Windows 95 as desktop shortcuts. This made it easier to access individual files without having to track down the source application. The new Mac OS also brought a big improvement in terms of file sharing. If you had an Apple Talk network, System 7 made it easy to share files and folders between systems with a simple peer-to-peer LAN. Like, it was even possible to collaborate on projects with publish and subscribe feature, which we've only just got back in Pages. This meant that the changes made to a file on one person's machine automatically transferred to every other linked document. Think Google Docs was impressive? System 7 was doing the same thing similar a quarter of a century ago. Now, if you're feeling nostalgic, you can check out the System 7 emulator that runs inside your web browser now. So we've got a link for that in the show notes. Now, May 12, 2005, longtime Apple frenemy Bill Gates tells a German newspaper that Apple may have hit it big with the iPod, but that the success isn't going to last forever. The reason, pardon me, mobile phones are going to steal the iPod's market share. The good news for Gates is that he was right on the money. The bad news for Microsoft is that Apple cannibalized itself by making the iPhone, which became even more successful than the iPod. As good as Apple may be, I don't believe the success of the iPod is sustainable in the long run, Gates told the newspaper. You can make parallels with the computers. Apple was very strong in this field before with its Macintosh and its graphic user interface, and like the iPod today, and then lost its position. Gates went on to describe how the rise of cell phones, capable of doing much of what an iPod can do, would destroy the market for MP3 players. Now, just let me think. Who made a fake iPod? Oh, that was Microsoft. That's not around anymore. And what about who bought Nokia and then sold it back and have no telephones? Jeez, I don't know.
The Zoom.
Does it rhyme with
Zoom was
Microsoft?
amazing.
The Zoom.
The Zoom. I had a Zoom.
Yeah, that figures.
I had a Zoom.
Did you love it?
No. I got rid of it and got an iPod.
You surprised me.
And then I changed. I bought a Android phone, and it was horrible. And then I got an iPhone.
And never looked back.
And life was good again.
Yeah, I've never changed. And so much for they like going about an iPod and stuff like that. My phone is an iPod. My phone's an iPod. It's a phone. It does everything. It's
Yep. What can I say? It just works. Someone famous said that.
It's a computer.
Not sure who it was now.
So Garth, have you got anything special for us? You've been away for so long. I'm missing your voice.
You would think, right? You would think I would have. I don't know. No, not really, to be honest.
Well, I've got one more. Two more little things actually, but one to start with. So, Apple Watch, how to enable elevated heart rate notifications, just in case you haven't done this. Apple Watch has been credited multiple times for saving lives. This is due to a device being heavily focused on health with detection features that can help spot health problems early on. So on your iPhone, head into the Watch app, heart rate, elevated heart rate. So this is only going to work if your watch is capable of the setting. Then from here, you can set the threshold for when the Watch app should notify you. Options range between 100 and 150 beats per minute, depending on what your normal steady heart rate is. So if you can go in and do that, that would be very good, because we want to keep our listeners around for as long as possible.
Is yours set like that, Michael?
Oh, I don't have one that measures.
Your heart rate?
That gives me the elevated heart rate.
Okay.
Reading.
Yep.
Yeah, but I do have an app on here that does warn me if it does get elevated. I've got a separate app on my watch. Yep.
What's the heart rate app you use, Michael?
Yeah, it is. I'll just have to look it up. I can't remember the name.
Never mind. Sorry.
It's just on. No, that's all right. I'm happy to tell everybody. Heart Mate. Yeah, that's right. Heart Mate. It's called
Heart Mate, not heart rate. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that lets you know if you're getting a bit out of control.
Yeah.
But what I also want to ask everybody to do is on their phones and their mother's phones, whether they're Apple phones or Android phones, is fill in the health information, like the emergency contact details and things.
Yes.
Yep. It'll take 5 minutes, and will make a difference. We'll hope it never has to, but it can make a difference. Yeah. So please just spend that few minutes. And if you have more than one phone, don't forget to do it for both. Like, it's just, please, please, please. I'm begging you. Now, I've got another little story. Remember Carpool Karaoke? Remember that?
Yes. I love that show.
So you can stream the first 2 episodes for free right now on your TV app, on your iPhone or your iPad. And we think also an actual Apple TV set-top box. The first 2 episodes are available right now, which the first one is Will Smith, who recently failed a date a robot and will soon be known for bungee jumping from a helicopter. And the second one is Alicia Keys, and that's the second. And with John Legend. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the first 2. So if you just go to Apple TV on your phone, and just do a search for Carpool Karaoke, you can see that you can actually just watch them. It's actually already there.
Has anyone
episode 3? You've got to be a part of Apple Music.
Yeah. Has anyone set the Apple TV app up on their phone yet? Michael, have you got the Apple TV app on?
Oh, yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
That's why I looked it up today.
You mean just the normal TV app, or?
If you go into the Apple TV app now, they'll actually so it can run your devices as well. So if you've got, look, I'm not 100% sure of this. I've only played with it a little bit, where it says TV. I'm just opening the app now.
So you got Watch Now, a library, the store, or search.
Yeah, so Watch Now. So I've got Welcome to Apple TV app. And then, it just goes on about what you can use, what you can watch. If you go in and do the Welcome to Apple TV app and watch what it does for you and stuff like that, they've got a whole new bunch of new stuff on there, and how you can sort of link it to your TV, and like you can say that you're watching something because it'll actually where you are. You can say I'm on channel 7. I'm watching this at the moment, and it'll sort of like because it'll link your ABC app and everything like that all to the one to the one TV thing, so you can work it all out and watch it all on the one app. And so
all right.
I'm only halfway through watching it, but it seems to be really cool.
Well, I can see it's got under the heading on the Apple TV app.
Yeah.
Like Women in Charge, you got The Real Housewives, not interested. Parks and Rec, I love.
Yeah, Parks and Rec is great.
the Tunnel.
Yeah.
The Australian one called The Librarians.
Oh, that's good too.
Absolutely Fabulous, which is also back on TV. 30 Rock, Wentworth, The Good Karma Hospital, which is also on TV. McLeod's Daughters, Buffy the Vampire Killer.
Oh, wow.
Newton's Laws on there. Sandoz on there.
Yeah.
Love Child. That's just to name a few. That's just under one part of one category. Yeah.
I was just looking at Rent the latest movies, and they've got The Shape of Water, which I really want to see. So
yeah,
actually might go home and watch that. So, yeah.
So don't forget the show promotion. Our show notes. There's a link in each week, so you can upload our show notes or go and have a look at them if you're trying to find a link to something. You just in Spotify, you just search for Aussie Max Zone. Under Apple News, you just search for Aussie Max Zone. There's been some big things happening with Apple News just recently too. So now, thank you to our sponsors this week being athwebhosting.com.au and our aussietechradio.com, and of course our supporters, you, our listeners. Thank you very much. Thank you, Garth.
My pleasure, Michael. Sam, good to see you both.
Great to see you, Garth. Hey, thanks for coming on again.
I nearly forgot what you look like.
I know, we miss you.
You were lucky there for a minute.
And see you, Zarn. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks, Garth. Remember, apple a day keeps the Android away.
Thank you.
Very good. Good night.